Well, obviously, it's good to be here. Coming off a win, it's always nice and not having a game to play for a while and waiting to find out where we get to play our last game of the year. But overall, it's been a really good season. If you consider all the things that have happened during this season, it's been a really good season.
Bowl game. ESPN says you're going to play Washington State. How about that?
Where?
Phoenix Bowl, I think.
Oh, really? That's all right. Mike Leach and I are buddies. That'd be fun. But there's no use to speculate because every time I hear who we're playing and where we're playing, it always seems to change on Sunday the 8th. So.
Do you ever make the prediction ahead of time and try and figure out and then see if you're right?
No, but I think, to be honest with you, I think when you watch the number of bowl teams there are and the slots that are going to open, because there was, I think, 8 teams this last weekend that had to win to get bowl eligible, and 4 of them didn't, maybe more than 4. So there's some spots opened up that a 9-3 football team has a better chance of getting in than an 8-4 football team does. And usually that means you're taking a Power 5 slot and you get to play against a Power 5 team. So since we're 9-3 now, I think that we're one of those teams that might be considered for one of those slots, which is kind of fun and exciting to think about.
Is that the biggest thing, like getting a Power 5 opponent as opposed to, say, a closer spot that maybe fans can get to easier or something like that?
I don't know what is more important. I think our program is established now, so it's not truly important on who we play. For the health of the bowl system, which I believe in, for the health of the bowl system, I think would be better to be close enough that a number of our fans could make the trip and be at the game, which would help us and the bowl at the same time.
Rocky, is it important to play a named school? If you can knock a named school off, that takes you to the next level in terms of nationwide identity
I think we've already crossed that bridge.
in a bowl game.
I don't think it matters if it's a bowl game or not. I mean, you can say what you want. For the first time in the history of the school, we beat UCLA. And you can say whatever you want. UCLA's not very good. Well, the number of times, 23 or 24 times, that this school has played UCLA, there was times UCLA wasn't any good. And guess what? We're the first team to ever do that. We're the first team to beat BYU in the last 14 years or 15 years or something. You can say that doesn't matter too. I mean, the naysayers out there can say all those things don't matter. We're the only professional football team or college football team from the state of California that is going to be in its 10th postseason play. You can say that doesn't matter too if you want to be a naysayer, but guess what? That matters. That means we're really, really good, and our program is really, really good. So it doesn't make any difference who we play in a bowl game. We've already established our program's good.
Talk about during the season, every week's a business trip. How do you look at it?
Well, then this is something else you can get criticized for. If there was a playoff system and we were one of the 16 teams in a playoff system, it would be a completely different mentality than going to a bowl game. Because and they will get one sooner or later. There'll be a 16-team playoff system sooner or later. But if you were in the playoffs, it's a must-win situation if you want to continue. A bowl game is a chance for players to play for the fun of playing. It's a pat on the back for having a good season. It's a chance to play just for the pure love of the game, and there's not a whole lot of pressure on winning. So we present it to our team like that. We prepare our team like that, and hopefully they go out and play well. At times they do, sometimes they don't, but I don't think it has anything to do with the approach.
Even though there is that approach, and there isn't a huge emphasis on winning, are you also trying to avoid what happened in last year's bowl game where the opponent scores a ton of points?
You always, no matter what your attitude is, you prepare your team to try to win a game because it's always more fun to win than the other way around. Do what now?
Which player on the defensive line has stood out to you most this season?
Oh, I can't pick one of them. I mean, I think overall, the concern going into the season was that was going to be the weakness on the defense, and I'm not saying it was stronger than the linebackers or the secondary, but the defensive line performed a lot better than anybody anticipated, maybe even us.
What impact did Brady's personality have in changing the persona of the front, or maybe changing the persona of the whole defense? Because you guys played like a bunch of junkyard dogs.
Well, I think that our defenses around here played like that for the last 10 or 11 years. But I think the biggest improvement was made in the defensive line. And I guess people forget what you say. I said Brady's the best defensive line coach I've ever been around. So I don't know why it's shocking to everybody that the defensive line played well. I mean, I told you he was a great coach. Why is that shocking to everybody that they played well?
What was your take on Baker's start?
Take on what?
Your take on Baker's start?
I thought he did well for being a first-time starter and taking a snap for the first time in a college football game. That's from personal experience, that's nerve-wracking, but when I did it, which is 100 years ago, I came off the bench and thrown in there. That's easy. When you know all week long that you're going to be the starting quarterback and it's going to be the first time you ever take a snap in college football, I would guess that's hard to handle. He didn't show it leading up to the game, and obviously he didn't show it in the game. I thought he played with confidence. I thought he played within himself. He made 3 or 4 really nice plays out there that gave us a chance to win the game. I thought for a first-time starter and being a redshirt freshman, he played well.
Is there something about a game that shows something in a player that you haven't been able to see in practice?
Sometimes they'll do something in a game that you don't see in practice, good and bad. I thought he played the game like he does at practice. He looked like he was at practice to me, which is a good sign. It means he's playing within himself, and it means he has confidence.
But during the spring and the summer, it seemed like a lot of times you weren't overly enthused with the backup quarterback's performances, and yet Saturday he seemed to really kind of step up a little bit.
Well, that's because it's the first time we've actually seen him against somebody else's top defense. Which you saw in spring practice and in fall camp, he was always against the second defense. Now he was with the second offense too, but you saw him against the second defense and all those sort of things. So you have never seen him at this level actually play against the other team's top defense. But it didn't seem to make much difference. He played like he did in practice when he wasn't going against the top defense.
How's Ryan Agnew feeling, and what's his prognosis moving forward for the bowl game?
The prognosis is he'll be 100% and he'll start the bowl game. He's still sore. I mean, they came in yesterday and today. I mean, he's still sore and he's not 100% right now. We wouldn't, if we played today, we wouldn't play him.
Any other injuries of note coming out of the game?
Nope. None of note. I mean, they all should be healthy enough to play in the game now. If y'all know how we handle bowl games, the seniors, they'll practice a little bit, and then we'll start developing next year's team. That's the biggest advantage of going to a bowl game, is that you get a few extra days of practice where you can develop the younger guys on your team for next year.
What do you do as a staff, what do you do as a team this week and this weekend when there's nothing going on, you can't really do much? Is there a lot of watching on Saturday to look at potential opponents?
Well, we'll know the opponent. I think they announce it on Saturday, and then we'll start our normal week of preparation. Or actually, it's about 2.5 weeks of preparation for a bowl game. We'll start it then. This week, all they're doing is lifting weights and conditioning, and hopefully concentrating on school as the semester is coming to an end. So we're giving them more time to themselves so they can take care of their schoolwork, and We don't want them to get out of condition, so we're lifting weights and conditioning this week. We're not meeting with them. We're not practicing whatsoever. But once we find out how many days of practice we have by what date the bowl game is, then we'll get into practice.
The Mountain West announced yesterday an incident in the Wyoming game in which there was a mess up on one of the downs. And in the release, they announced that they would have some repercussions against the officials working the game. Is it encouraging for you to see that they show something like that with working with officials, whereas for players and coaches, they're always held accountable also, and it's more public, but it hasn't been as much with the officials. Is it encouraging to you to see that come about?
Well, I think they just made it public. I think that our league does a nice job, and the head of officials do a nice job of holding our officials accountable all the time. The idea that they made it public surprises me a little bit because most of the time it's not made public. But I think our league has done a nice job for several years holding those officials accountable for mistakes they make.
But do you think it's better to be held accountable publicly? Because a lot of times fans see something and they never know what the repercussions of that are.
I don't know. I'm not a fan, so I guess I don't know.
Did you get an explanation Saturday night? There was that Zach Wilson threw a ball that looked like it was bobbled. You took a timeout. Was that play reviewed when you took that timeout, when the play was bobbled on the near sideline? Do you recall that play?
Well, I actually thought it was an incomplete pass because I think by the time he gained possession of the ball, his foot was out of bounds. And I asked the guys on the officials on the sidelines if it was being reviewed, and they said it was. And then when they didn't call a timeout so that they'd have further time, I thought obviously they had made a mistake. So I called timeout so they could have a little more time to think about it and look at it a little closer. I guess I was wrong. I mean, I haven't seen any of the TV angles, but I've seen the game film. And according to the game film, which is not near as good an angle and not near as good a view as most of the TV angles are. Watching the game film, I believe I'm right. I think he was out of bounds before he maintained possession of the football. But I don't have those close-up angles that they do on TV either.
Hey, Rocky, I got a philosophical question based on what you've done here in 9 or 10 years. What we saw happen this morning in Washington with Chris Peterson and what's about to happen to Clay Helton at USC, and the pressure points coaches put on themselves. How do you avoid burnout? How do you avoid overworking your staff, paralysis by analysis? Over the years, have you changed how you do your job and how it impacts other guys?
I think I've changed over the years because of experience. And I think that when you go into this business, you realize that it's that way. And each coach, no matter if he's the head coach or assistant coach, learns to handle it in the best manner that they can. And when they start thinking it's getting too much, they quit or they retire or they move on. I was shocked to hear Chris Peterson did that because I think he's like 50 years old or something. And he's an excellent coach and a great guy. I was really surprised. But most people know when it's time. So I wish him the best, and obviously he knows it's time. I think that the coaching business is not near as difficult as it was time-wise a few years back. With all the new technology and everything, our coaches are out here by 8 o'clock at night. When I first started coaching, you left at midnight and you were back the next day at 6 o'clock in the morning. But now we walk off the practice field and we watch practice. It's on our computers as soon as we get into the office. So our coaches leave at 8, they come in at 8, and it's not near what it used to be when you came in at 6 and left at midnight. So maybe the stress is that there's more public views of what you do, and there's more ways for people to express their likes and dislikes on what you do. Maybe that's where the stress is coming from. It's not by the number of hours you're spending coaching. It really isn't, because we're spending a lot less time coaching now than we used to because of technology. But what we are is handling a lot more public impressions of what we do. Because everybody has a way to get to you and let you know their personal opinions about your job. And most of them don't know anything about my job, but they sure tell me about how I should do things a lot.
Did that bother you more when you were a younger coach and you found a way to deal with it?
Well, when I was a younger coach, you didn't have near that kind of scrutiny because there wasn't any technology where they could get to you. You were insulated from that kind of stuff to a large extent, so you didn't have it. So in one sense, you're spending less time coaching because of technology. In another sense, you're taking a lot more punishment because of technology. And a lot of that will get coaches out of the profession early, too. It's not fun to see how people really dislike you. I mean, you don't think you're that bad a guy, but they'll tell you how bad a guy you are, and they'll tell you how stupid you are, and all those kind of things. So, I mean, you got to learn. I guess you got to learn how to handle it.
So since you're more seasoned now, you're better at dealing with it?
Well, I think there's very few advantages of being old. One of the advantages, there's very few of them, but one of the advantages of being old is you don't care what they think.